way there and perfect on your way back. Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing. Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15's. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit. And make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
When the house lights go down and the music starts, you know greatness is heading your way.
Stolen. He's cleared for takeoff. He dunks.
You know you're in for a contest.
He's going to drive, and he's going to dunk with one hand. Oh, put that one on the highlight reel.
Put that one on a poster as well.
When you can't be at the game, be at the game. Here on the Boilermakers Sports Network from Learfield
on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is a presentation of Fort Wayne High School sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show. Hoopie Insurance, our family serving your family for over 40 years. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everybody, to sectional championship week of the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. I am Justin Kenny, here for the next hour or so talking sectional championship games coming up tomorrow. Hard to believe we're at sectional championship week, but also hard to believe that 3 weeks from today, Thanksgiving Thursday, followed by 2 days of state championship games at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Who among our area teams will advance? We'll continue to follow everybody's trek tomorrow with games throughout Indiana. And from now until Thanksgiving, we will be handing out hardware on every single Friday night for champions of sectionals, regional, semi-state, and, of course, the state championship. Plenty to get to. Brent Kunkel will join us here in just a second, head coach of the Bluffton Tigers. We will also talk to Kyle Lindsay, head coach of the Bishop Luers Knights. He will join us to talk about his team's round 4 with Eastside. 4 years, 4 games against the Blazers, and they'll match up in Butler tomorrow. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk to Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net, break down some of these games coming up tomorrow. We'll wrap it up at 6:45 with Coach Ben Johnson of Northside as the Legends prepare for a showdown with Snyder tomorrow. Let's get it started. And our buddy Brent Kunkel on the line right now. Coach, how are you?
What's going on? I'm doing great, man.
We're living the dream here, Coach, and I'm sure you are too. And you said a great week of practice so far. It can be indicative of Friday or not, but at least you're feeling pretty good so far through practice this week.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, in my 6 years as a head coach, I've had a hard time thinking of a time we've been more focused and had a better week of preparation and practice. All the credit goes to our kids. They've really kind of embraced the challenge that we've got in front of us Friday. And, my assistant coaches do a fantastic job all week getting guys ready. So we're very, very excited for the opportunity. And it feels good to have a good couple of practices under our belt. But then, there's that head coach in you, like, man, I hope we're not peaking in practice before we get to Friday. But feeling good heading into it. And we're, like I said, excited for the opportunity and the challenge.
Coach, let's look back real quick with Tipton last week. You had to go on the road to the Blue Devils. You were able to knock them off. What did you like about your squad's performance?
I tell you what, I need to hire out my pregame speeches because we came out to start the game. They have a fantastic running back, Eli Carter, all-time leading rusher at Tipton. And Tipton, as you know, Justin's a very traditional football powerhouse in the state of Indiana. And all week, of course, we key on him. Where's he at? Where's he at? And then first play of the game, he goes for 64 yards untouched. We responded to that by fumbling our opening snap. So we could not have started the game worse, but to our kids' credit, we kind of found our bearings there, put one in the end zone, and then ran a fake field goal at the end of the first half to go up 16-10 at the half. And something I've never seen before, we got the ball to start the third quarter, ran about a 7-minute drive, running the ball every single play. Then we had a surprise onside kick, surprise to everybody, including the head coach. And we were able to recover that, and then we ran the quarter out. So, to keep their offense off the field for the entire third quarter, and we were able to punch 2 in the end zone there, that's kind of what we've always wanted to be, a physical running team. And like I said, we kept the ball on the ground with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 plays there in the third quarter, and we're able to kind of put the thing away.
Coach, Anthony Cruz has been tremendous for you. He went over 200 yards last week. He's now a 1,000-yard rusher for you with 9 touchdowns this season, first 1,000-yard rusher for Bluffton since 2018. What kind of runner is Anthony Cruz? And I'm sure you want to give some credit to some of those offensive linemen that have been able to pave the way for him all year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our offensive line up front, going from left to right, Deontay Eskridge, Lucas Garrett, Chris Castaneda, Sam Meckling, and then Anthony's much bigger but younger brother, Johnny Cruz, have done a tremendous job really all year. Anthony, like you said, he's over 1,300 yards rushing for the season now, 200 yards. And when you look at the kid, I mean, he's a generous 5'5", but just runs hard, runs really, really hard, refuses to go down on the first hit. It's kind of slippery. He's got good top-end speed to where he can break some things away, and he's the kind of kid that, every program would love to have. We trust him. We put the ball in his belly, 20 to 25 times a night. With the exception of the first 2 sectional games, I was kidding him in practice. He started the Blackford game, fumbled first play. He started the Tipton game, fumbled first play. So we might put our backup running back in to start the game tomorrow, just to make sure we get the first play off. But Anthony's a great kid. He's a great leader for us, the team captain. Like I said, the kind of kid that any program would want to have.
Coach, you were week 7 and 8. You fall against Heritage, then you fall hard to Adams Central, and everybody falls hard to Adams Central this year. But being able to bounce back against a pretty solid Lakeland team, how big was that week 9 game to kind of get away from those 2 straight losses and kind of reset heading into the playoffs? Because since that week 8 game in Monroe, it's been 3 straight dubs.
Yeah, and that was huge for us. The Heritage game, a lot goes into that for us here at Bluffton. Casey Kolkman was the head coach here when I first got to Bluffton. He had a great relationship, and he's at Heritage now. So that's kind of an emotional game, and that was a game that, we were up 20-6 at the half, and, Heritage came out and kicked our tails in the second half. And like you said, Adams Central, there's no shame in going to Monroe and getting beat, but I didn't think we performed really well at times. But to come against Lakeland, and they're a solid squad. Coach O'Shea's up there is doing a really good job. They had a freshman quarterback and a tailback at over 1,000 yards, and we were able to kind of dictate the pace of that game and really play well defensively. And, we had to go to Blackford, in the first round of sectional, and say what you will at Blackford's record, but their offense is a nightmare to prepare for. I mean, they're full house tee, and they're pulling guys. You're never really sure who has the ball, and it was fall break for us that week, so you had all those added distractions into it. But for our kids to come out and really in the second half of that game put that one away, and like I said, going to Tipton last week, one of the most recognizable programs in the state of Indiana, tremendous tradition there, and having to go on the road for the second week in a row and the start that we had really kind of says a lot about the mental makeup of our kids. When we got the sectional draw, I've been telling them, guys, I think you're one of the most talented teams in this sectional. I don't know if we're mentally or physically tough enough. And they answered in a big way, especially last week at Tipton. So really, really proud of them and their progress.
Coach Brent Kunkel, Bluffton Tigers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. And, Coach, defensively, you've had some fine performances over the season. We talk so much about that offense and Anthony Cruz in particular, but defensively, it's not a dominant group by any means, but it seems to get the stops when you need to.
Yeah, I mean, and really if you look at our defense, you take away, the first half against South Adams where we gave up 36 points, and you take, Adams Central scores on everybody. But you throw those two games out. Our defense has really kind of carried us all year, and like you said, they're really kind of under the radar. I'm an offensive guy, so of course I like to talk about offense, but my defensive coordinator, Todd Morgan, does a fantastic job. My secondary coach, Brice Vance, defensive line, Tim Millspaw, who's a former head coach himself. So to have those guys on that side, for me as a head coach, I talked to Todd on Sunday. I'm like, hey, man, how many points do I need to get? And I always tell him, if he can hold the other team to 7 and score twice, I guarantee that we win. So it's really been a luxury for us, to have that defense. I thought that our kids have played tremendously hard on that side of the ball all year. And like you said, not a whole lot of credit goes to them, but, they've kept us in a lot of games, giving us a chance to win.
Coach, I don't know if there's ever a good time to play Eastbrook, but if there is, it would be this year. It's a very good Eastbrook team, but not a dominant Eastbrook team like we see most seasons in Grant County. Coach Adamson, one of the best in the state of Indiana in terms of head coaching in prep football. But what have you seen out of Eastbrook? I'm sure it's typical Eastbrook. They have a pair of 1,000-yard rushers. Their quarterback is good enough to keep you honest in the passing game, and they're going to play really solid defense.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Is this the Eastbrook team that's, gone to state 3 out of the last 8 years? Probably not. But Jeff Adamson is a heck of a football coach. I mean, that guy is a Hall of Fame coach. He's won over 300 games in his career. Eastbrook has a culture of winning. In our area, you take Adams Central in 1A. You might take Eastbrook in 2A in terms of programs that you want to kind of emulate and be like. So nothing but the utmost respect for Coach Adamson and his kids and his staff. And you hit it again. Like they're just solid. They do remind me a lot of Adams Central in the sense like they're not gonna do anything to screw up. You've got to play really, really sound on both sides of the football to have a chance with them at the end, and then. You got to have some things go your way. So, like I said, our kids are excited to go against one of the best programs in the state. We're excited to get to host it here at Bluffton and, let the chips fall where they may. The only team that can beat them tomorrow is us. So we're going to try to embrace it and try to have fun with it and, hopefully win our first sectional championship since 1988 here at Bluffton. So.
Coach, when you look at matchups against an Eastbrook and Adams Central, you know what they're going to do. In terms of scouting them, there's only so much you can do. It is very much you scheme against them just as much as you kind of coach against them in terms of your personnel. So I guess the question is how hopeless does it feel sometimes when you can scout and know everything that Eastbrook is going to do or try to do, but in the end it comes down to your players being able to execute and in a lot of ways be more physical than the opponent?
Yeah, and I really think that's what it's going to come down to tomorrow. Eastbrook's not going to try to hide anything. Like you said, Coach Adamson's been doing this a long time. They are who they are. They're going to do what they do. Are you good enough to stop it? Obviously, the key, like most high school football games, comes down to who controls the line of scrimmage. We feel good with our offensive line, the way they've kind of gelled here these last couple weeks, but they got a lot of talented kids on defense on their side. And then, they run a complicated scheme. I mean, they run veer and they run, trap and dive and power G and all these kind of things that if you miss your assignment or you don't do what you're supposed to do, they can break it for 60. Eastbrook's not going to come down here and be intimidated to play Bluffton. They've got 17 or 18 sectional championships. We've got 1. Those kids on that roster have played deep into the tournament. This is the farthest we've been since 2018. So, like I said, we're really excited about the challenge, but understand that we're playing, one of the best programs in the state. We're looking forward to see how we stack up.
Coach, you mentioned it. You guys were in this position in 2018, played Bremen at home and lost. It's been since 1988 since the sectional championship in Bluffton. But I have to imagine the excitement heading into tomorrow, what should be a good night for football. There's going to be a great crowd, great response from Bluffton tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the community is really excited. It's kind of nice to walk around town and people are telling you good luck and that they've been paying attention and they're going to be there Friday. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better night. It's supposed to be 70 and sunny in November. You know what I mean? So hopefully we got a good group of people showing up tomorrow. Our kids are excited. They're ready for the challenge. Like I said, we've had a great week of practice. I told them that they deserve to be in this game. They deserve to be in the game, but they're not entitled to it. They're not entitled to anything. So the hope is that we can go out there and earn it, one play at a time, try to keep it close, and in the fourth quarter give ourselves a chance to beat them. So it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a good game, but like I said, we'd rather be playing it than sitting at home.
All right, Coach, just remember, whatever Grant Mosier tells you, do the opposite.
Well, I wish that Coach Fox would give me some insight, but those Eastbrook boys, they don't share too many secrets. So, whatever Grant says, probably go the opposite. But if Foxy would tell me something, I know He's got a big game himself, but if he could give me any insight.
They're open to call Brent Kunkel for any suggestions. All right, buddy. Hey, appreciate it. I know you got a meeting with your boys at the bottom of the hour. Appreciate the time. Good luck tomorrow.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks,
right,
Justin.
brother. That was Brent Kunkel, head coach of the Bluffton Tigers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. Bluffton and Eastbrook tomorrow night. Bluffton 7-4, Eastbrook 8-3. Eastbrook was tops in Class 2A for a hot minute earlier in the season, but lost big to Oak Hill on the road. They lost big to Alexandria on the road. They lost big to Mississinawa on the road in the regular season. All three losses for Eastbrook coming on the road. Could Bluffton make it number 4 tomorrow night and hoist a sectional championship trophy for the first time since 1988? We'll see. Thanks to Coach Kunkel for joining us. We're taking a break. We come back, we'll talk some 2A sectional 34 instead of 35. So we talk 36 here with Bluffton, and we'll talk 35 when we come back. It'll be Bishop Luers coach Kyle Lindsay. After the break, you're listening to the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
I drive my bus in a busy city. That's why road safety is so important to me. I know that I must slow down and be extra careful when I make a wide turn. Buses need more room than cars. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're driving, remember to give buses plenty of time and space to finish turning before driving ahead. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges. But many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years. The chill has arrived with a cool cash instant rebate of up to $1,550 on your complete Carrier system or special financing up to 72 months from Masters Heating and Cooling. Turn to the experts with a 10-year parts and 3-year labor warranty, standard on every job, and their apples-to-apples price match guarantee. The chill is no problem with a cool cash rebate from Masters. Online at mastersheatcool.com.
We are Masters.
This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. Justin Kenny here talking sectional championship week here in football. Crowning sectional champions tomorrow night, and 3 weeks from now, we'll be enjoying Thanksgiving weekend and also prepping for the state championship games down at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis on Friday and Saturday. Who will we have locally representing Northeast Indiana in 3 weeks down in our state capital? We'll find out over the next 3 weeks, and it'll continue tomorrow night with sectional championship games. We're talking Luers and Eastside here with head Luers coach Kyle Lindsay. Coach, how are you?
Good, Justin. How you doing?
We're living the dream, bud. And last week, go to Busco, and there's a lot of hype around there, big game, and I felt okay. If Cherubusco could keep this dirty and tough and grind it out, then maybe they had a shot. But you guys took control from the outset. How important was that?
It was a key to get off to a fast start. Kids had some confidence rolling into kickoff, and then when the game gets going, you just don't know what's going to happen. You're expecting to execute, and also you got to handle adversity. And I thought setting the tone with a touchdown on our first drive was key. Busco, being the tough team that they are, they responded. I was really interested to see how we were going to respond. Earlier in this year, we got off to a hot start against Northside. Completely different teams and athletes and schematics, but Northside threw a punch back, and we didn't handle that adversity very well. So, fast forward about 7 weeks, and to see us have a team bounce back and to have the offense take the field at a 7-7 game. And then take the field, take the ball down the field, score, and then have the defense really respond. I thought that was crucial. I was really excited to see that.
Coach, in looking through the season, we always talk about Bishop Luers, and it's always general to say, well, they're going to take their licks during the SAC season, and even in seasons where they're not towards the apex of the league standings, they'll be fine in the playoffs. But looking at it, it was a topsy-turvy, up-and-down season literally for you. Your first winning streak is now 2 this season. So how did your guys handle that SAC season? And it certainly looks through 2 weeks of the playoffs that it paid off.
I thought overall the kids did a pretty above-average job of understanding the grind of the SAC schedule, not getting too high after wins, not getting too low after losses. We had a couple ugly ones mixed in there, but I thought overall we put together a competitive season. You look at a couple games, tough games that we lost at home against Homestead and Dwanger that really could have gone either way. Northside really punched us in the mouth, particularly, heading into halftime and then second half. I thought we were competitive in that game. We just, they wore us down. They were a better team. I thought week 1 and week 9 with Carroll and Snyder. Wasn't thrilled, obviously, having the mercy rule and having the running clock, but I thought our kids came out, played hard. We did some good things in both those first halves. It just kind of got worn down. And, I think by the time the second half of Snyder hit, we were, especially after we had an early turnover down 17-7, and then they scored just a couple plays later, you could kind of see the air come out of our bubble. It's almost like kids shifted into postseason gear. But, we've got a good core of seniors that have been, that remember their sophomore year. That we headed into this season, a lot of similarities to 2020 in terms of what the realistic expectations were within the city. The whole goal was to get this team to learn how to play together, to compete together, and then ultimately to learn how to win together. There's a lot of similarities between that team 2 years ago and this year's team, and we've had some really good leadership. And it's just gotten better. We've had more. That was one concern of ours, was what was the leadership. We didn't have a lot of vocal kids like we had last year's class that graduated, but we had a lot of kids that have been through the ring of SAC play, that have been down to a state title game, that They were the heartbeat of the team, as any good senior class should be. And, I'm really proud of the leaders that have emerged. We went from maybe 2 or 3 leaders, vocal, to right now we have a tough time. We have 2 captains, and Nick Thompson and Charlie Stantz, who've done an outstanding job this year, but they've really gotten some support from their senior classmates. And, there's more than a handful of kids that have done an excellent job that we've named game captains throughout the year. So really proud of how we've handled it, and really excited for the challenge tomorrow.
Coach Kyle Lindsay, Bishop Luers Knights, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, Coach, I know entering the season, we had talked, and you said, man, that our offensive and defensive fronts are going to be largely young, and we're going to need them to develop. So now that we're in the sectional, how have those guys come along? And they seem to have grown and really settled in well and gotten that experience they need.
Yeah, it was no secret, and, we've been very open with the teams, with the kids about it. Games are won and lost up front. Games that we've won, we played pretty well on the defensive side of the ball up front, if not very well. Games that we won during the city offensively, we had to find opportunities and cash in on opportunities created mostly from our defense and strong special teams. But to their credit, they just, it's a hard-working group, and I think probably most if not every football program could probably claim the same thing. But the offensive line and defensive line units are the hardest-working kids in the program, and they didn't get too down on themselves no matter what the result was. No matter how they performed, and they're just grinders. And I'm really happy with how we came out, particularly last week. Last week was all around our best game, but without a doubt, controlling the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and the defensive line was something that I think we can hang our hat on. And I've seen a lot of confidence develop in those kids because of how well we played last Friday.
Coach, there's 3 definites in life, death, taxes, and Luers playing Eastside. And here we are, year 4 of you guys meeting up in the playoffs. What do you take, if anything, from last year before, this now 4-game series, taking it into Friday? Or is it very much their own games, own entities year after year?
They're definitely, both sides are different teams led by different leaders. So you can't overlook that aspect. But I know when we look at Eastside, we watch the film, and their reputation around the area. That's a very physical football team. The team that is so well coached, and you could see that their defensive alignment, their defensive assignments, how they get off the ball up front on the offensive line, how they block, at every level, out wide, their backs. And then again, obviously, their tight ends and their offensive line. But, that's something that we preached all week. This is going to be a physical battle. And there's no sense in comparing to any team around here because what's happened in the past is happened. It's gone. It's behind us. But, we've drilled it in the kids' head that they better be ready for the most physical battle of the year, and that's what I fully expect tomorrow from Eastside.
In terms of game planning for Eastside, they make no secret on what they like to do. They want to run with 3 different guys, including the quarterback. So based on what you've seen out of your group through the course of the season, do you feel like they're ready for that challenge, or they've at least been tested to get ready for a challenge like tomorrow night?
Yeah, without a doubt, we've had our fair share of tests and different offenses, different quarterbacks, different backs leading the charge. What we haven't had is a big, powerful rusher that Dax presents. I guess the positive side is that most of this defense has seen him before. With that said, it's one thing to know what they're going to bring to the table, having seen it before, but it's another thing to light up another year and have to tackle the big moose and have to take out lead blocks when he's not getting the ball. And then, when you look at Carson Jacobs, he's a tremendous athlete. He was a difference maker in last year's game, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I'm sure there's been comparisons with him and Laban throughout the year, but he's his own person, and you can tell he's a strong competitor. He's got some size, he's got speed. He's very good taking care of the ball, something Laban was good at. Now he can also throw the ball. When they choose to throw the ball, he throws it pretty well. So, it's a very talented backfield behind a very talented, aggressive, and strong offensive line, and our defense knows we'll have our hand full.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate the time, bud. I know busy guy.
Bet.
All right, buddy.
All right, we'll see you.
That was Coach Kyle Lindsay of the Bishop Luers Knights, his team preparing for the showdown for the fourth straight year against the East Side Blazers in sectional play. Over the last 3 years, Bishop Luers has won 1, East Side has won 2, including last year's 21-16 victory over the Knights at Luers Field in what was a very, very surprising result for many people in Fort Wayne, but not surprising if you know just how good Eastside has been over the last several years with Todd Mason. Of course, Eastside then went on to win a regional championship, beat Eastbrook, and then fell to Andrean by 3 at home in the semi-state. Round 4 coming up between Bishop Luers and Eastside tomorrow night up in Butler, 7 o'clock kickoff. We're going to break down a lot more when we come back with our buddy Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net, touch on several of the sectional championship games coming up tomorrow, as well as talk to Coach Ben Johnson of the Northside Legends a little later. You are listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
Applied Imaging is now Applied Innovation, a new name, but Applied Innovation is still a family-owned company committed to the Midwestern values upon which it was founded 35 years ago. Applied Innovation, a new name more accurately reflecting an evolution into becoming a single-source provider for all your business technology needs. Applied Innovation is still the Midwest choice for superior imaging products and fast, responsive after-sales service. But Applied Innovation has also become the Midwest choice for managed network services and other IT support, paperless solutions, voice-over IP telephone systems, document destruction, and much more. Applied Innovation, same great people, same commitment to a culture that values family, giving back to local communities, hard work, and simply doing what's right 100% of the time. Applied Innovation. Discover the benefits of having a single source provider for all your business technology needs. Applied Innovation. New name, same customer-focused culture.
Now back to the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. Justin Kenny here as your host of the High School Coaches Show, talking sectional championship football. We'll crown some sectional champions throughout the state of Indiana tomorrow night. We'll give way then to regional football semi-state. In 3 weeks from today, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. And 3 weeks from tomorrow and Saturday, we'll be crowning 6 state champions. How many area teams will be down at Lucas Oil Stadium to represent Northeast Indiana in the state championship games? Well, we'll find out, and that journey continues tomorrow night. And we talk about that journey with our buddy Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net right now. Brice, how are you?
I'm doing good, Justin. How are you?
We're doing well, bud. And Were you as surprised as I was with the dominance we saw out of Carroll against Penn last week?
I was. I was surprised because we talked last week, that 6A is a whole nother animal for a lot of area teams that go up against that type of competition, and for Carroll to pretty much impose their will for 4 quarters, and for Jimmy Sullivan to play a heck of a game like he did, has proven that he's time and time again. And once again, last Friday, that he's one of the best players, maybe the best player in Northeast Indiana right now as a sophomore. So it was, surprising. It wasn't, too terribly surprising that they won, but just the manner that they went and how they handled their business and really took care of business and took care of Penn in that type of fashion. Kind of, stoked some, a little belief that, maybe this team can make, some sort of run. They could, definitely have, the capability of winning tomorrow night and possibly beyond that as they get deeper into the tournament here.
It's amazing what one win can do for your opinion about a team, or at least their chances. Yep. Last week, you and I were both in no uncertain terms basically saying Carroll was in deep trouble. And now we're looking at it going, oh, they should just brush past Warsaw, and sure, they can match up with Crown Point, and maybe that HSE game is the one to circle. So what does Carroll need to do to make sure tomorrow, because we talk about at length about Bart Ball and Coach Bart Curtis and what that offensive challenge is to a defense, and this is by no means a game that Carroll can look past. 2 years ago, Warsaw beat Carroll in the playoffs. So this one we're already chalking up to Carroll, it seems, much like we did last week with Penn, but this is far from a guarantee tomorrow night against the Tigers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, for Carroll to increase its odds to win this game, it's going to have to score on pretty much, at least more than 50% of its possessions, just because Warsaw is going to want to, grind the clock. They're going to want to run the ball a lot. More often than not, they're going to run the ball, and it's just going to keep that clock ticking. So Carroll's going to need to score on, just about every possession that they have it. And I think that they have the capability of it. A team that's putting up over 40 offensive points per game, and they really haven't had, too many times this season where they've been, held in check, other outside of, Snyder and Northside, when that was the only 2 times that they were held under 30 points per game this year. So I like the way that, Carroll was able to, prove that they were able to, match some physicality last week against Penn. Warsaw is going to bring it as well, just maybe in a somewhat similar fashion. And I feel like that Carroll, was able to take that first game take that, maybe first punch, and we're able to, attack well. And I think that they should be able to do that against Warsaw, a team that, hasn't had a lot of competition, as stiffer competition as playing in the NLC. It still, has very good teams, like with Northwood and Northridge as well, both teams playing in sectional championship games. So it feels like that Carroll should have a good chance at winning, but you definitely can't write them off, especially if they can't get their offense going tomorrow.
Brice, Leo and Columbia City round 1, the Eagles were able to really, really limit the Leo running game and made them one-dimensional. Leo had trouble moving the football vertically. They get back together tomorrow for a sectional championship on the line. Both programs facing significant droughts in that regard and winning a sectional championship. Well, should we expect anything different in this game tomorrow with Leo and Columbia City, or is this another game that the Eagles should be able to control?
I'm thinking that Columbia City should be able to control the game. I was a little surprised at Leo's result at East Noble, and just how they were able to handle the Knights last week, and they were able to get pretty much anything they wanted on offense, and their defense forced a lot of turnovers against East Noble as well, and took advantage of them and scored quickly, used some big plays, with guys like Brock Schott, who's been just a tremendous player over the course of the season and really shined last week in last week's game against East Noble. They're going to need a similar output, from a player like him to force some turnovers, to make some big plays on offense, because Columbia City is going to use their running game, and similar to like a Warsaw type, they're going to run the heck out of the ball, and they have a very physical front line that's not afraid to take it to you and just run the ball down your throat. And they have, multiple options in the backfield that they can go to, but it's going to come down to Columbia City's defense and limiting Leo's pass game and rushing attack, because they have some weapons that have grown over the course of this season and have had a lot of impact. But for Columbia City, I think it all comes down to their running game and their defense to take away their first sectional championship in quite some time. And I think that this is the year for them to do it, because we talked about them a couple of weeks ago after they beat Norwell, and this feels like a special year for Columbia City to do something. And it's pretty unexpected when we were talking at the beginning of the year.
Brice Vance, OutsideTheHuddle.net, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Brice, it still feels like we talk more about the Northside Legends than we do the Snyder Panthers. The Northside has been good. Snyder has been very good. Both have won 8 straight football games. Snyder, #1, entering the postseason in both state polls in Class 5A. In this one, it was a close game in week 1. I imagine we expect a close game tomorrow night. But is this Northside team good enough to do the little things to knock off the top-ranked team in Class 5A?
I think they are. I do expect a close game tomorrow night. I think what we've seen, especially towards the latter part of the season, after that Homestead result where Northside gave up nearly 50 points in a 1-point win, we saw that their defense really shored up, and it wasn't against the best of competition, but still we saw a dramatic improvement from the beginning of the year with this team, and I think that'll give them a chance tomorrow, because we know that the type of playmakers that they have on offense that can make big plays and hope, and that could possibly keep them in it. And with Snyder's offense and how consistent they've kind of been this season, but and how they've relied on their defense, that has just been really stellar this season. But I think it's going to come down to Snyder's defense and how well they can contain Northside. If Northside's able to break off multiple big plays, it could be a long night for that Snyder defense. But if they're able to keep the speedsters in front of them, make them not go deep downfield and just try to limit their options, that could frustrate a Northside team that wants to go deep downfield, and it could set Northside back. So I think that Snyder has the capability. They've been able to do it to quite a few teams this year and limit some high-powered scoring offenses, including Carroll, limiting them to 28 points, limiting a Homestead team to 21 points. And other than that, they really haven't allowed a whole lot of other points or any other team to really move the ball a ton all season. So it's going to come down to the Snyder's defense and limiting those big plays.
Brice, it's Bishop Luers. It's Eastside, round 4, 4th meeting for the two in the last 4 years in the playoffs. This one will be up in Butler after Eastside knocked off Luers last year at Luers Field. Do you expect another dogfight like we had last year, the 21-16 result at Luers Field? What should we look to for this one tomorrow night at Eastside?
I've been going back and forth whether this will be a close game or a slow-scoring game like last year or the year before where it was 56-49. I think we're probably going to see a little more scoring than last year, just because of both teams defensively. I think maybe aren't as tight-knit as they were in the last couple of years. But I expect some offense, some big plays to be broken off. I know Luers was kind of held in check as far as big plays last week against Cherubusco. They had to, kind of nickel and dime their way down the field, and they were happy to do that. What Busco was giving them and limiting their big play offense. And Busco did a really nice job of slowing down Nick Thompson. He didn't really get loose a whole lot. but there was just a lot of, chunked plays, 8 to 10 yards is where Luers thrived. And if Eastside can do that, as well as have their own offensive production, as we know that they're capable of, I would expect another close game, because Eastside's offensive line has, been the difference the last, last couple of times that they've won. It's their offensive line that has really carried them, and that's going to have to be the key for Eastside tomorrow night, because they physically manhandled Luers last time around. They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to open up holes for Carson Jacobs and Dax Holman, and if they can do that, they'll come away with another sectional championship.
Brice, final question for you. Who wins by more tomorrow? Norwell at home against Yorktown or Adams Central?
I want to say Adams Central just because I've seen them do it more, but I would say they both win probably by at least 4 touchdowns, maybe 5.
Yeah, I see running clocks in the second half for both of those. And, Adams Central's been in plenty of games where you could add a running clock in the first half and they could have been over with at 8 o'clock. But that could very well be the case tomorrow night if they did have that. But, Brice, I appreciate the time. It is always an honor and a privilege to speak with you every Thursday night. We'll catch you next week.
Justin, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, bye.
That was Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, as he does each and every week. Going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Snyder and Northside with head coach Ben Johnson of the Legends. It has been 32 years since the Northside Legends held aloft a sectional championship trophy. Will that drought end tomorrow? We'll break down the matchup coming up on Friday night with Coach Johnson when we come back here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
1380 The Fan is looking for our next all-star advertising account executive. Do you have what it takes to join the Fan? Text radio to 46862 right now. Text radio to 46862. Are you passionate about doing your best, working harder than everyone else, and you want the rewards that come with a sales career with the Fan? I'm talking real money, including a $5,000 sign-on bonus if you're good enough to sell advertising on Sports Talk 1380 The Fan. Do you have the sales experience in retail, customer service, or business sales? You could be the one advertising sales all-star we hire. Text radio to 46862. We invest in you before you start on the job when you take our free sales talent assessment. Text radio to 46862. Our advertising sales reps enjoy flexible paid time off, a work-life balance that your friends will envy, and all the usual benefits. Someone's going to get a $5,000 sign-on bonus and an all-star career on the Fans advertising sales team. Will it be you? Federated Media, an equal opportunity employer.
Life insurance, while a sensitive topic, is a vital part of smart financial planning, particularly for parents. For a minimal cost, a life insurance policy can provide a means to guarantee that the people who depend on you will be taken care of in the future. Talk to Matt and the team at Hoopie Insurance Services about obtaining coverage to ease your worries and secure financial stability for those closest to you. For over 3 decades, Hoopie Insurance Services has been helping people just like you get the right life insurance coverage for a cost that fits their budget. Remember, a difficult conversation today could mean peace of mind tomorrow. Find comfort in the experienced and knowledgeable staff of local agents at Hoopie Insurance Services. Call 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or visit them on the web at hupe-insurance.com. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for over 40 years.
Co-Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, one family owned and still going strong for 60 years. Decade after decade, Co-Heating and Air has been known for providing quality heating and cooling services that ensure your family stays comfortable year-round. That's no accident. That's a legacy of customer care, excellence, and relationships that have endured from generation to generation. Go with who you know. Go with Co. Proud to be your American Standard dealer. Find them at coheatcool.com today.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges, but many of us do not understand what we are facing or how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health.
If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services, Sectional Championship Week edition of the show. And the game of the week coming up tomorrow night here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. It'll be at Spoller Stadium. It is the Snyder Panthers and the Northside Legends Sectional Championship on the line, a rematch from Week 1. And to break it all down with us, head coach of the Northside Legends, Coach Ben Johnson, with us. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
We're doing well, Coach. And, man, I can imagine the excitement is pretty palpable around Northside here this week, having an opportunity to play for a sectional championship tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. We've been looking forward to this. We were working hard for this for all season long. And, we got a motto. It's been 32 years, that our program haven't won a sectional championship. So, our kids are prepared, our kids are hungry, and they're just ready for the opportunity tomorrow night.
Coach, I imagine with the draw, everybody felt good for Northside last week. You opened the week or the postseason against Anderson at home, but how important was it to not allow the guys to look forward to a potential rematch with Snyder or Bishop DeWanger and take care of business last week against Anderson?
Oh, we just kept them locked in. We just talked to them about the importance of, you can't overlook no team, especially in the section, and because, every team have a senior group. And, if you play high school football, you know what that means. Seniors don't want to go home. So no matter what a record is, those kids are going to play lights out. They're going to give it their all. So I told our kids, hey, 32 teams are playing tonight, 16 is going home, and Anderson do not want to be one of those teams. So we got to take care of business. And that's what we did. And I appreciate our kids for, not looking ahead and taking care of business last Friday.
And it was another big night for Jonte Lambert. And I know you probably expected this for his performance. Had 240 yards last week to go over 2,000 yards for the season. One of the top running backs in the entire state of Indiana. And just what makes him so good?
Well, everything all works together. It starts with up front. Offensive line is really, really good. They don't get talked about enough, in my opinion.
Sure.
They are blocking through the whistle. Not to the whistle, but through the whistle. And, they practice hard. We got a great offensive line coach. And, it starts there. And then just with Jonte, again, his running back coach has been doing phenomenal with him. And then working on cuts and jump cuts. And just making sure that, he's hitting the holes and hitting fast. He's just been doing a phenomenal job with us. Not just running the ball, but also catching the ball out the back.
Yeah, he's been one of the favorite targets for Bodie Dickerson as well. And, we talked, and I asked you a couple weeks ago, most valuable player for Northside, and we can talk about Jonte Lambert, we can talk about Bronte Johnson, but you went Bodie Dickerson. Why?
Bodie Dickerson is our best player on our team. I truly believe, again, like I said, everything all works together. If Bodie Dickerson is not at quarterback, I believe teams will load up the box. But because he is, you kind of got to play us balanced. You got to pick your poison. And whichever one that you pick, we can do the opposite. So, every great team has to have a great quarterback, and that's just what he's been for us. That's whether it's throwing the ball, it's handing the ball off. It's even times he comes up to me in a game like, Coach, we don't need to throw the ball at all. Let's just keep handing it off. They can't stop the run. He's one of the most unselfish human beings I ever met in my life.
Coach Ben Johnson, Northside Legends, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Coach, wanted to ask you about a couple players on your defense. One, a seasoned veteran, and one, an emerging star. And one is Devon Doty, who's been tremendous for you since coming over from Bishop Luers, leads you in tackles for loss and leads you in sacks. And also Josh Massasu, who's your leading tackler as a sophomore at the linebacker spot and is really emerging as one of the top players at his position in the entire conference as a sophomore. So you have Doty dominating as a senior, and it looks like you have a next emerging star at the position in Masasu.
Oh, absolutely. We can start off with Doty first. Doty is a playmaker. When you watch his tape, he is going to make splash plays every game. Whether he's going to get tackles behind the line of scrimmage, he's going to get sacked, he's going to get turnovers, he's going to cause turnovers. But we just call him playmaker Doty, and that's just what he does. And Josh Masasu, again, last year, we recognized very quick on the freshman team that he was going to be a star. He was going to start making it. He took his off season very serious. He got in the weight room, lived in the weight room, and, he has just been a tremendous player for us. And, he showed up in week 1 and showed everybody on our team that, he ain't just 15 years old. He's a different 15-year-old. He has a motor, and when he hits you very angry. And, we're happy to have him on our team.
Yeah, one of the better sophomores, regardless of position, in this entire area. Coach, a 2-point loss to Snyder in week 1. How much do you take out of that game into this game? Is it? Do you remind the kids about that game? Is it an afterthought? How do you approach round 2?
We talk about it.
Yeah.
We talked about it since week 1, and our thing was this. We had 135 yards in penalties. Our kicking game wasn't good. We were missing a couple starters. I never talked about it, but we kept that in house. And our kids know that we are 10 times better than what we were week 1, and everyone is healthy. Having that bye week served us very well. We had a little knick-knack injuries, and kids was able to heal up from those. So we just ready to go, man. We are a total different Northside team from week 1. We're not going to have those penalties that hurt us. Our kids are locked in. They're going to be very, very disciplined tomorrow night.
Coach, you're facing the number 1 team in Class 5A. The Snyder defense has been absolutely phenomenal for the majority of the season. The running game has been stout for them. What's the key for Northside to end that sectional drought tomorrow night?
Our key is we got to play sound. We got to play 48 minutes of Northside football. We got to be fast, smart, tough, and disciplined. We got to stop Snyder run game. That's what they love to do. They love to line up in I formation. 2 tight end sets and just want to run it down your throat. So we got to be ready to, stop the run. And then when we get the ball on offense, we got to go score points. We got to do what we do. We've been averaging over 40 points a game. And Snyder has a very tough defense. So we got to figure out how they're going to line up and try to take away some of our playmakers and, just take advantage of, what they give us. Because, they can't cover everything.
Coach, it's an 8-game winning streak you guys are on right now. It's the longest winning streak for the program since 1987. What has been the key to this run? Win or lose tomorrow, what's been the key to this year's season for Northside?
I would say the biggest, and I'm sorry about the background noise. We got dinner going on. Kids are very excited. But we have, we preached this year about just being selfless. The biggest thing, when it comes to a football team is everybody coming together, and everybody just mastering their roles. And our kids, man, I just take my hat off to them. We have kids that, playing different positions that maybe that wasn't their first choice, but they're okay with it because, they want to do what's best for the team. You know what I'm saying? And one of those kids like Mitch Bargovich, the kid was the first team all conference at D-line, and he's saying that we had a need on the O-line. He's like, Coach, let me just play O-line. Let's shore up the O-line, and we can use other guys on the D-line. You know what I mean? Just kids like that, man, it just helps your program, and it helps your program grow. Because when the kids see one kid doing it, other kids follow suit.
Coach, I appreciate you taking the time on the eve of a huge game. I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking some time with us, and get those guys calmed down back there.
I will. They're just so excited.
No, it's good.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
That was Coach Ben Johnson of the Northside Legends joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. His team 8-2, 8 straight victories, the most consecutive wins for a Northside program since 1987. And the Legends will take on the top-ranked, number 1 ranked Snyder Panthers in a Class 5A showdown. Winner gets a sectional championship trophy and moves on to the regional round next week. That's going to do it for us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. Thanks you to Coach Ben Johnson for joining us Also, thank you to Mr. Brice Vance, OutsideTheHuddle.net, joining us, as well as Coach Kyle Lindsay, Bishop Luers Knights, and then we topped it all off at the top of the show with our buddy Brent Kunkel of the Bluffton Tigers. Tomorrow night, coming up here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM, it's the game of the week, and it is Snyder Northside 7 o'clock kick from Spuller Stadium. Catch all the action here with Brett Rump and Shannon Griffith on the call. We'll be back next Thursday to talk regional football. How many teams do we have still alive next week? We'll see. Coming up next, it's the Marcus Freeman Show. Big showdown coming up Saturday night in South Bend as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish host the Clemson Tigers. Coach Freeman will talk about that and more coming up here in just a few. That'll do it for us. This has been the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Put it down for the father of rap. And if you happen to get cracked, shut your trap. Come back, get back. That's the part of success.
Thanks for listening to this exclusive presentation of 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Download our latest
podcasts by Federated Media.